Welcome to the virtual lunch. Today is Thursday, December 23rd, and this is virtual lunch number 462. Our guest today is Rich Kessler, the CEO of Classifi, and this is part of our continuing series on lessons learned and looking ahead with Cobra Legal Solutions. Hi, Rich. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks, Ari. Thank you so much for having me today.
I'm looking forward to this conversation. Rich, I'd love to start. Just tell us about your background and the genesis of Classifi.
So over a 33-year career, about 25 years in financial services, 7 in consulting, and really got my start in IT originally as a systems administrator at 17 years old. Early on in Wall Street at 19, I interned for Chase Manhattan Bank. I tried to do every single job I could in IT. It was because I would get bored easily and I liked to be challenged, but nothing could have prepared me for 2001. I worked for Citigroup and wound up responsible for the production recovery of 7 World Trade Center for a significant part of Citigroup that managed $11 billion of managed accounts and mutual funds. From there, I needed to develop a holistic view of data. That got me into this thing called e-discovery. I read a book given to me by an attorney, Vivian Mace, who was Assistant General Counsel for Citi, and her job was to talk to the SEC, and we became partners in crime. We wanted to really get e-discovery noticed at Citigroup, and this book was on the federal rules for civil procedure and the changes that were coming. And I've been CEO of Classifi for 18 months. But the interesting transition is when stuff goes wrong or where there's real challenges, knowing what's valuable and what risks you're trying to mitigate when you're trying to recover an entire firm came in very handy when, say, I was retained by large law firms and organizations to say, we don't know what to do. We have this e-discovery thing, and here's all the documentation for our IT environment, and guide us. And that was both terrifying and exhilarating. So one of the things that is different about us is that we are partnered closely with a law firm called Hildreth Graven, which has been around 10 years. And it's really looking at the complete picture for e-discovery services. So one of the things we do is second pass review, and that's tightly coupled between our technology services and the law firm. We have other world-class partners, including a very large advisory firm and others that really give us the best of breed. And that is an incredible place to be in, leveraging a lot of amazing people and connections over my career in the e-discovery business. And coupled with that, a lot of contacts I've made when I was a data architect in parallel to building out these e-discovery services. We've been coming up with this new platform, a new way of approaching data that focuses on data valuation, monetization, and revenue growth, but doing it ethically. The focus of the law firm really needs to be on merits of the case and really digging in and focusing on what the outcomes are going to be. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that, yes, they're involved with, but they need to rely on a trusted partner that's going to both understand their roles in depth to the extent possible, the client's roles, plaintiff or defendant, for example, and also not only the technology, but really what needs to happen for e-discovery to be as optimized as possible. Using tools and platforms that are already built and optimized in their space and leveraging people who are comfortable with those, we could take some of those things for granted. So it's not like we had let's say a large group of people on a completely new tool set. I mean, it's been incredible to build a company during COVID. There wasn't a real pivot needed because that's how we started. We just had the most amazing benefit of Hildreth Graven being a work from anywhere law firm with MLaw 100 attorneys for 10 years. So they've had this model, the COVID model, for a decade. And we started with that structure and leveraged it. And for ourselves, being different than a law firm, but still being coupled with one, really made it about, again, human to human relationships. And I'll say it, caring about other people and having a daily gratitude, not only for, let's say, folks that are classified, but our partners, treating them the same way. And we've had partners that treat their team's the same way. It may sound very soft and mushy, but that part of it is all of us waking up with daily gratitude for each other happy to see each other healthy, just normal stuff we used to take for granted. I joined the Nebraska Tech Collaborative, and I'm on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. My particular focus, although we cover all the bases with DEI, is to support women and veterans and getting them employed and moved to Nebraska. It's an incredible environment for startups. And some of the large organizations, for example, Union Pacific, that are in the Midwest, are overwhelmingly, disturbingly male, 90% of the company. So there are some much bigger problems that we take for granted in the Northeast, which we have, but maybe to a lesser extent. And so there's a group of us that are very energized to do something about that. Part of helping companies do the right thing with data is having incredible DEI and ESG frameworks as part of understanding the right thing to do with the data, removing bias, tracking it, having transparency, but also with environment, social, and governance goals, getting those integrated into your overall objectives and key results. How does that present itself in the data? How do you track it? So the beauty of it is get to support this committee and then take my own medicine, and then it's actually going into the DNA of the company. And of course, we'll support more people moving to and becoming employed in Nebraska. This is where the pandemic has really changed things and made things easier in that way. But again, Hildreth Graben really put the groundwork in place. So that was an obvious thing when I started, which is you get the best people from wherever you can. And that was a huge benefit to starting a company during COVID, to not be geographically bound. And in various parts of the country, not just the Northeast where there are big cities, there are great concentrations of talent. So sourcing talent both directly, let's say employed or contracted by Classified, has been challenging, like with everyone, right? Getting the right people in the right role. But once we've got them, they're very happy. Through our partners, it's been absolutely incredible. And that's when I get to say humility. I've just tried to help people the last 30 years and make that bigger than my job. And I tried to deal with other people like Joy and others who are like that as well. And that has a way of coming back. So then the spirit and the climate of when you're sourcing talent and they feel that warmth, let's face it, it's a key driver today. No one wants to feel undervalued when they're working long hours because they're suddenly working from home, or God forbid, on video for too many hours a day and they just feel exhausted. So this is my first CEO role. And I got to tell you, what a different job than anything I have done before. Let me start with the most important thing I learned, which will sound maybe a little strange. Some time ago, I said to myself, wow, I just realized what the three most powerful words are for me. I don't know. Why is I don't know so important as a CEO? Well, when you're a retained consultant or you're in a global role for Citi or UBS, you are paid or expected to have all the answers. It puts you in this position of your brain's instinct when you first have this job is, oh, I have to know this or I have to know that. And then it gets a point of, I call it extreme honesty and coupled with humility, where you're like, wow, there's so many things I don't know about this job, about the discovery, about anything. And I need to rely on other people and should rely on other people and get opinions and create an environment so that I'm always being fed information and then create as much collaboration as possible. I really never, conversely to what people may think, never want to make a decision without first talking to much better, smarter people. People are relying on me to make good decisions. How do I support them to be amazing and be their best selves in every way possible, and constantly testing that and refocusing yourself and the team?
Rich Kessler, everybody. Wonderful, wonderful conversation, Rich. We're so grateful to spend this time with us. Thanks to you. Thanks to Cobra for supporting this series on lessons learned and looking ahead. And I wish everyone a great holiday. Rich, thank you again. Wonderful discussion.